What news from the King of Spain?
I can try and repair this picture frame,
Oh, good.
which my dear wife occasionally throws to the ground. Oh, it's quite a nice painting. It's not, but
Doesn't work on the wall behind my chair.
probably needs raising up or putting on the other wall.
Or perhaps I need shortening even more.
What, dig a trench? You can walk in.
What other news have you got?
The other news, if it's not already been broadcast, is that my second series of assessment and treatment for my knees has been cancelled. I mean, it would appear that you start with you have an assessment with the surgeon who's probably going to do the operation. Then you have another appointment to see an anaesthetist. Then I think you get the dates. Well, I had all those for heading for July, and I'd seen the surgeon.
What, that young schoolboy?
Yeah, just out of the fifth form, I think. It's me getting old, I'm sure. It's not just the policemen that look young. And then I went for the anaesthetist appointment, and that had been cancelled. They just couldn't get through on the phone, which is not too surprising. So today at 3:00 was supposed to be my second series. Also with, what's his name? Dr.
Doesn't matter.
Lossell, I think. Probably, and they left a message again to say cancelled, date, blah, time, blah. So difficult to hear, and coping with French by phone is actually more difficult than face to face, because you miss out on so much of the communication, expression and the rest of it.
It was quiet. It was quiet and fast, wasn't it? The message. It wasn't.
And I thought I'd got the sound of it, but in the end I thought, well, it's just as easy to drive over. It's only a sort of, 10-minute call.
But you'd hung onto the phone for 5 minutes and ended up talking to Poitiers.
Yeah. And found out that it was Poitiers, not Memorial. I started thinking, what, you mean it's all going to be done in Poitiers? And oh no. And so I drove over there and spoke to the same secretary in the surgical department, and she twigged who I was, and
you're that Mark Gower, she thought.
Yes, and she confirmed the date. So it's now September the 4th at midday, which is just at the start of French lunch hour, when the whole nation goes for lunch. So I'll be keeping him, whoever it is, from their lunch to start the game. So I'm ending up in this illusory comfort of procrastination. Having began to gear myself up a bit for 3:00, and I've done it before. It'll be the same rigmarole to go through: chat, talk about it. I mean, last time I seemed to do more of the talking. He sort of sat there listening as if like I was in charge, which is, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. I mean, the big complication for me is that doing my nurse training, when I did general training, the third of my registrations, I had a placement in hot orthopaedic surgical theatre, which was,
Why do you refer to it as a hot orthopaedic?
Emergency.
Okay.
Theoretically.
Because I never know what you mean when you say that.
I think someone would have come in from ER, some were probably a bit more routine, which could wait, but was still in there. I've had vague memories of helping out in...
Stop doing that.
All right. Some joint replacement. And I would sometimes sit in the waiting room with the surgeons. They're all quite genial, younger doctors usually, and a charge nurse. And I'm not sure I caught it properly at the time, but there'd be cases coming in and they'd be looking at the notes to see what they were going to be doing. And I'd listen to them and they'd start talking about, oh, shall we try this technique? And the other one would go, oh, yeah, let's blah, 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 blah. And eventually the charge nurse would say, oh, no, you don't. You'd have to stick to the accepted normal, or at least that's the way I thought they were talking. So I sort of came to a decision in my early 30s. I was never going to submit to surgery, but, here I am.
In your early 50s.
Me in my early 50s. Yes, thank you very much. That's very kind. Early 50s plus a quarter of a century. So it needs to be done. It's all come on so gradually over the years, and I think at each stage of it, I've got used to it. Sort of vaguely dismissing it and just getting on with things. It was Canada that really threw it into focus because we having to walk most places and dragging suitcases and the rest of it and walking around places. I began to realise that my endurance walking around was really limited. I could do 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, and after that I'd begin to be shuffling and hobbling, and it was exhausting. And it still is to some degree, even though I potter about here. I'm probably not as careful as I probably need to be.
Oh, really?
I sometimes set out to do things and get on with them anyway. But I have to acknowledge that my endurance is limited.
You don't think the walking down the stairs this morning with your hands full of stuff was...
Well, if I don't do it, you'll do it.
And who's got knees that work?
You've got other bits that don't work so well.
I'm working okay at the moment.
Well, I'm working okay at the moment.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I don't want to have to pick you up at the bottom of the fucking stairs.
Have you ever picked me up at the bottom?
Not yet, but it sounded like I was gonna this morning.
Not a chance.
Arrogant.
So, I'm still not keen on the idea. There's something very intrusive about surgery at that level. Colonoscopy, I've sort of got used to. I've had 2 of those, due for another one, which is not much fun, but it's okay. The difficult bit is as you start coming round, you're on trolleys laid out in rows. It's a production line, which is fair enough. As I'm starting to come round, the surgeon will come round, start showing me pictures of my insides in colour, and start describing to me in French what they found and what they've done, which is not easy, and I vaguely can take it in. But there you go. This time it's I think anaesthesia will need to be deeper, I'm sure, and presumably I'll have IV lines, blood going in.
We talked about this before, and we know in terms of, somebody had said to me, one of my subscribers had said to me that she'd had an epidural, and you went, well, you didn't say no fucking way because that's my language, but you said no, I wouldn't.
No.
But what I understand is if you have an epidural, you also have sedation, so you get sedated in terms of like a, I don't know, some sort of tablet, some oral sedation that sort of sends you off to think about something else, and then the epidural, so you're still not having a general anaesthetic, you're still, and she talked about recovery time being better because of the epidural. So okay. I wonder if they offered you that, would you?
No.
Why?
I don't want one. I know where it goes.
What goes? Oh, what, the epidural?
Yeah. I've seen it.
Have you?
Well, because I did obstetric nurse training.
Yeah.
I have the certificate to prove it. Fascinating experience.
Certificate.
So at one level, I'm sort of faintly dreading it. I'm sort of. It's the sense that a friend of mine said. It's the sense of the hospital system taking a grip of you, and I'll be disabled in effect in bed, and my boundaries will be intruded upon, and I can gear my psyche up for that, but it's not easy, and and it's possibly up to a week, which I'm not looking forward to, because experience of French hospitals is they do the task more than look after the individual. Like when Kathy went in for carpal tunnel, when she came back, I was shooed out of the room regardless while they transferred her from the trolley to the bed. I mean, I thought later I should have said, no, I'm a retired nurse, I'm going to stay here. But at the time, I just didn't occur to me. So, but it, you know, at another level, I want to get on with it. I'm fed up with hobbling about at times.
Go, I'm fed up with you.
You know, of climbing out of the car. It takes half a minute. Well,
I drove back the other day, and it looked like it was even harder for you to get out of the passenger seat when we got home.
I don't know.
But your right side would have been facing out of the car in the passenger seat, so I didn't understand why, but it looked to me like it was harder.
Don't really know.
Okay,
So like, you know, and it's a routine operation. You know, my art group last time I went, we were talking about it, and there was 1 hip replacement and 3 knee replacements amongst the group.
And that was only one woman.
And the only one woman. And they were all quite positive about it. It's a routine operation.
But when the operation's being performed on you, it's not. It's not your routine.
No, quite.
Someone else's routine.
Yeah.
It's not your
it's,
norm.
it's a very regular operation that's done with considerable confidence and done rather easily. So
they want to fucking get on with it then, don't they?
yeah.
Right, that's probably enough because you've communicated with me and you're meant to be non-communicative.
Oh yes, what an interesting theory. One of the reasons, one of the things that brought us together for me was that in my first marriage, I was living with somebody who was, despite being in a caring profession, occupational therapist, was actually highly resistant to any idea of psychotherapy or emotional lives or emotional literacy. She was really quite cynical, would ridicule it frequently. And part of the thing with Kathy is that she is the reverse. I mean, I remember her arriving on my unit as a student for placement, saying,
"Oh, that's it. Give it all away."
I've got to come here. I'm not staying here. I'll put up with it, but I'm going straight back to some other ward. I'm not staying in a place like that. And over the course of the time, the whole experience turned around 180 degrees, and she became so wrapped up in it, so involved, so keen that she developed a huge amount of emotional literacy, and that involves talking. Anybody who thinks we don't
I think I already had that. I think I already had that, but I think it was honed by the day hospital because I worked with you and with other people who were emotionally literate and well trained, and but I think I already had that.
I'm sure you did, but you add in this level of what ability, skill, experience, training, philosophy behind it, and I think it does an awful lot. For anybody who thinks we don't talk, what I'm describing just it's an awful lot of talking. And Kathy came into the psychodrama group I was directing as a regular contributor to add to that. I mean, the whole day hospital worked along those lines. It wasn't from fairly intense psychotherapy to much lighter weight, what I would still call psychotherapy, more social therapy, I suppose. Yeah, we do talk.
Well, that's a long one.
Thank you very much.
I think it's probably a good idea to stop there before you give all my secrets away.
Okay.
And then we can stop talking.
Right. Oh, thank heavens for that.
I think I might have to go out for some emotional chocolate.
Oh, yeah. What's that then?
Well, it's chocolate.
Not Cadbury's.
You don't do Cadbury's here.
No. One of the other manufacturers that makes emotional chocolate?
I'll find one. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Fra.